Hello everyone, my name's Leo with SuperTech. I have here an Xbox Series S that was sent to me from a customer from, I think it was South Dakota, or I don't remember the exact address, but somewhere in the US, let's just put it that way. This is actually a return for warranty. Basically stated that after a few days, apparently the port actually is missing, and I don't know if you guys can actually see that right there. The actual port's no longer there. Now, I do remember this console itself. I remember I secured properly, and I'm trying to see if it's going to, there we go. See, there's no HDMI port there at all. So this console, I remember it perfectly because of this this sticker here, and I remember that I literally secured, and I just didn't record a video on the initial because I've been getting so many shippings, and I don't tend to make a video on every single repair that I do, because sometimes you just got to repair them, especially when you have customers that are persistent that they want to receive their console right away. But this console here, I went ahead and I repaired it. I made sure that the port itself was secure on both top and bottom. I added some solder and make sure that it was very sturdy, that it wasn't going to actually break. So my concern right now is actually going to be that we're going to have some missing pads off of this console, which I'm hope that's not going to be the case. But that being said, let's go ahead and open this console up and let's see what the damage is. I hope that there isn't any damage. One can always hope, but it never happens to what we want it to be. So let's go ahead and take this console apart and see what the damage would be. Hopefully none, but of course, again, I'm very doubtful. So we're gonna go ahead and take this console apart. So you've got everything taken apart that we need to take apart. It's really easy and simple, honestly, to take these console apart. The Series S, easy to work with as well. Unlike the PlayStation 4, oh my God, has over 60 something, I think it's like 63, 64 screws. It's a nightmare to work on that console. First things first, we're gonna remove is the power supply. And of course, we are going to remove the fan. And right away, I do see the HDMI port right there. I'm afraid to honestly look because I do not want to find any torn traces. Don't think there is any though. That's very, very surprising. We may end up using the same HDMI port as well, so long as it looks to be good. Let's go ahead and take the heatsink off. And I mentioned this on quite a few of my videos. I do have a link below for this specific tool as well. Of course, I've got several tools underneath my link, but if you need one of these, if you work on consoles repairing, I do recommend this. It's very easy to remove the heatsink off of an Xbox console with this particular tool. What I used to use is actually a flathead. I will stick it in between and try to pry it up to try to get this the X clamp off of the console. There was a couple of times where I would accidentally nick the board, and then of course have to run a trace on a broken trace that I may have messed up. And these were on consoles that I was actually practicing on, not on customers' consoles. All right, we got the heatsink off, and let's go ahead and go on them under the microscope, and we are going to see what the damage is. Of course, I don't see any damage, but of course, this is just using the naked eye. We're about to find out right now, going underneath the microscope to see if there is any damage whatsoever. Alrighty, so we are underneath the microscope now. And I believe we do not have any broken traces, honestly. That's very surprising. I wonder what happened to the solder was at the top, because I put solder up at the top as well. I know that this pad here was missing, but what happened to the solder to these ground pins as well? Wow. Not sure what happened here, honestly. But let's clean this up and let's redo this job. I know that I did a better job than what it looks like, or at least I thought I did. I'm gonna go ahead and clean this up real quick. I'm gonna put some flux and clean it up. All right, so what I'm gonna do right now is actually add some low melt solder to this. Let me grab some low melt solder to fuse with the solder that's currently on there. Let's grab a new one. I do need to order me some more, as I only have 2 more strings of low melt solder. I do order the alloy low melt solder from Amazon, and I also do have a link for it in the description below. The one I use, it is called Fast Chip SMD Removal Alloy, which is about 4.5 feet. I don't know if you guys can actually see that. Let me go ahead and change the screen real quick. Is this one right over here? Can you guys see that? There you go. Right there, Fast Chip SMD, 4.5 feet. I do get it from Amazon, and I also have a link in the description below where you can actually get it if you're looking to get yourself some low melt solder. So this is what I've done so far. We went ahead and cleaned where the legs go, as well as the pins. Let me heat up this real quick a little bit so we can properly remove this burnt solder, burnt flux off of here. Alrighty, so we've got that cleaned. We still need to clean the hose though, so I'm going to turn the board around. We still need to remove this solder here. Let me turn that around real quick. There we go. We still need to remove this solder there from these leg holes so that we can insert, of course, the HDMI port back in there properly. Now, the type of solder I used, it is regular leaded solder. So this solder should not take a lot to remove. I shouldn't even have to use low melt, honestly. Let's find out though. I believe we've got the solder completely cleaned. The Let's check on the other side just to make sure that it didn't come out from the other side. Alrighty, so the board is prepped and ready. Let me take a look at this HDMI port. HDMI port looks bent from right there. You can tell that they actually pushed it in here really hard. Okay, I'm not going to use this same HDMI port. Alright, we went ahead and grabbed a new HDMI port. Just took it out of the little plastic casing just so you can see that it's a different one. That other one was bent from there. This one's not. So first things first, what we're going to do is actually add some solder to these pins over here. So we're going to add some flux. Now I normally don't, and I'm not going to do that actually because I want the pins to be flat. I want the pins to be flat on the board. So what I'm going to do is actually on the HDMI port itself, which is right here, I am going to add a little bit of flux right there, right there, right there, right here, and right here. Now don't add any on that side because that pad's missing. So what I'm going to do is actually add some solder here. Alrighty. So now what we need to do is actually put this port, and I'm going to leave this solder there. And one of the pins is actually bent on this one. Let me see if we can bend the pin back. Okay. Hopefully that stays in place. We're going to add some flux. Add some solder to my tip. We are going to see some bridges temporarily, but we'll clean those up. Alrighty, we got the pins. We are going to go ahead and add some solder to these legs real quick as well. We're going to add some solder first from the bottom and then from the top, just like we did before. And I think this is what the problem is, honestly. As you can see, whenever we put these legs in here with this new ports on the Series S, these legs do not come across all the way to the other side of the board. And it's not that it's not seated in there properly, because it is. It's seated in there all the way down, flush down to the board. It's just that the legs for the Series S are actually short, which is why these consoles are prone to have an HDMI port being broken. But we're going to secure this very, very sturdy, and we are going to reinforce this port here. All right, so the reason why I'm actually going in a circular motion is I want the solder to go as deep down as possible into this hole to be able to get the top of the port as well. We are going to add some from the top, but I want it to go through this bottom hole as much as possible. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and clean the bottom portion up, and then we're going to concentrate only on the top. Now, before we do secure from the top, one of the things I am going to do is actually heat up this section of this board. There are some solder pins at the bottom of this port here. So we're just going to put some airflow right over here. Try to avoid the plastic part of the actual HDMI port. While doing so, I'm going to use this tweezer here and press on this to make sure that it actually seats in there properly. I'll know when it melts whenever this solder over here melts as well. Oh no! That's what I was trying to avoid from happening. What's done is done. Let's try to put this HDMI port back on here again. Okay, so we're gonna try it a bit different. We're gonna do it from the top. I've never done this method before. I've always done the other method, but what's making it a bit difficult right now for me is actually these three pads, ground pads. That's what's making it a bit difficult. These pads over here. I do have the HDMI port right here. Now let's start heating up from the top. Alrighty, I believe we've got it. Let's find out. Now I know the pins are still nope, it's not all the way down. That side is. This side definitely isn't. Yeah, that side isn't. Let me heat it up again. There we go, we got it this time. Now the pins, of course, we still need to go through the pins again just to make sure. We're gonna add some flux to this. We're just gonna go over it just to make sure. Alrighty. I believe we've got the HDMI port down properly this time around. Let me go ahead and clean it up real quick just to make sure. I am going to add some more solder through the top portion of this. Just add solder to the legs up at the top. Want to make sure that this port, it's not going to come off. There we go. And let's reinforce it from the bottom once more. All right, bottom is clean. As clean as can be. Just clean the HDMI port itself. Alrighty, let's just check to see if there is any bridges. All right, awesome. It looks good. There is no bridges. Let me just finish cleaning this up real quick. There we go. Yeah, that port's not going anywhere. Let me just look on the inside of the port to make sure we didn't melt the actual HDMI port itself. We did put quite a bit of heat on this board. Right, nothing seems to be melted. Looks good. All right, let's go ahead and test. Alrighty. We've got everything on outside of these modules here. Everything else is on. Let me just put these on here real quick. There we go. Power cable and HDMI right over here. Let's see if this will work. Power button. No power. What's going on now? Oh, I'm pressing the wrong button. Oh, man. I was getting scared there for a minute. I was pressing the wrong button. Fan. And let's see if we have anything showing on the screen. There we go. Alrighty, so that being said, for a second time, this console has been repaired. Of course, this customer, we're not charging the customer. The only thing they're paying for is just their shipping back, which is going to be like $16, I believe, based on their location. And it's a 2-day shipping because that's normally what I ship as well. So they should receive it within the next couple of days. We made sure that the HDMI port was actually reinforced from the top and bottom. I'm not sure what happened on the initial install, what I did, because I'll take full blame on this. I'm guessing I must have not put the proper amount of solder up at the top, and maybe didn't make sure validate that the 6, which in this case it only had 5 ground pins that are at the beginning of the actual HDMI port were also soldered onto the actual HDMI port. But we made sure that this time around that was taken care of. If the customer's watching, I apologize honestly if in fact this was my fault. It did seem though like there was some force that was placed into the console, but I'm glad that none of the pins were actually torn, so the issue did not become greater than what it honestly was. We'll go ahead and put this console back together and create the shipping label, ship it back to the customer. Other than that, thank you very much for staying tuned and watching my video. Do me a favor, go ahead and hit the likes. Go ahead and hit the thumbs up button on this video, or if you like the content in general, hit the thumbs up. If you don't, you don't have to. Hit the subscribe button as well as the notification button. That way you get notified every single time I actually upload a video. Once again, thank you so much for staying tuned and watching my videos. Y'all have a good day, and I'll be seeing you on my next video. Peace.